Welcome in, everybody, to the DLLS Cowboys podcast as we have a stacked up show for you today. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys intentionally chumming up the water with George Pickens talk. Is that what's going down there? We're going to talk Cowboys culture, Seahawks culture. Chris Canty weighed in on it on First Take. And if you had to bet on one of the guys on this roster who has not been a quality starter yet to become one, who would it be? Hit me up in the chat for that one. Hit the like button on your way in. Why don't you? Welcome in. My name is Jay. I'm next to former Cowboys wide receiver Jesse Holly.
Oh, Jesse Holly went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
And he's next to the greatest beat writer in the history of the Cowboys, Mr. Clarence Hill. Good morning, men. It's good to see you. We ready to talk Cowboys football?
Let's go. Good to be seen. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So this is one of the topics about Cowboys football that's honestly the most exhausting to me. While being a believer that it's very much real, every time a Dallas Cowboy player leaves here, they say the exact same thing, and I think a part of the fan base doesn't want to believe it because it's your football team and you want to win the Super Bowls. And there's a portion of the fan base that just loves Jerry Jones because he's fun and cutesy with the stuff that he says. But the idea of culture is going to be back in the news. And we'll start off by just playing something from former Dallas Cowboy Chris Canty, who did 4 years with the Cowboys. And then he went to the Giants, and yeah, he won a Super Bowl. And this is just Chris Canty talking about the way that things go with the Dallas Cowboys and elsewhere.
And this is coming from somebody that played for the Dallas Cowboys once upon a time. And I will say this, when you play for the Dallas Cowboys, you are treated like you won the Super Bowl each and every day. And it's hard to manufacture the hunger that it takes to put in the work to get to the top of the mountain in the NFL to hold up that Lombardi trophy. It only weighs 8 pounds, but it takes 53 guys to hold it up. And if you look at how the Seattle Seahawks went about their business, there is a level of industriousness behind the personality of this team.
Yeah.
Mike McDonald, chasing edges, mob ties. That means mission over BS. There's a lot of BS going on with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is owner Jerry Jones. He talked about it last offseason. When it gets a little bit boring, I stir that bleep up. But you know what? In Seattle, guess what? They don't have a lot of noise emanating out of the building. They don't look to create headlines because they're focused on trying to do whatever it takes to give themselves a competitive advantage against their upcoming opponent.
Woo! Woo!
I mean,
Chris Canty got behind that messy mobile today, baby.
I am a man of two minds. I have two minds. And the first one is he's not the only one to say it. He's one of the everyone that says it when they leave here. And whether it's because the best players don't have to worry about the head coach and they can go straight to the owner, whether it's like whatever, the fact that you're the most talked about team, win or lose, like whatever it is, it's absolutely a real thing. And I don't know how many players have to leave and talk about it before everyone realizes it is a real thing. Whether it's the fact that the coaches are generally friends of the owner. Like the exacts of it, there's a lot of different ways you can take it, the tours. But on some level, do your job. Like, yeah, there's people walking through the building. Yeah, the owner's being goofy. And yeah, the head coach said something on the radio, and 60 minutes later, the owner contradicted him. And like, yeah, it's a little circusy. But what about this is what you do for a living? Go try your hardest.
Yeah, but attitude reflects leadership, Cavanaugh. And, that's one of the things for the Cowboys. And I say this, and I almost say this in a level of being a hypocrite, right? Hypocrisy. I was one of those dudes who had benefited from living that Super Bowl life as a Cowboy. I have said this on numerous occasions, and I'm not afraid to say that. Nobody talks about how their career went, the up, the down, the good, the bad about it more than I do. I was never a superstar. I was never someone who went to the Hall of Fame or had Pro Bowls or even had
this close.
Listen, I'm closer to the Pro Bowls than a lot of other you mother. I'm closer to a lot of you others. Okay. But even in my time, my 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys, I talk about this all the time. In the offseason, I was making a crazy amount of money doing autograph sessions. And I was a guy who was the guy from 4th and Long, who was a special teamer, who had one good big play and all that. And I am sitting in a very nice house that I paid for, all because of that celebrity type Super Bowl feeling that you get when you're with the Dallas Cowboys. It's why when we go to training camp, and I told you guys while I was at training camp, one of the things that just stuck in my craw was you saw hurt guys who weren't practicing, who were not stars, who were not people. You be like, you know what, man, he has done enough in this league and on this football team where, you know what, whatever the hell he does, we don't say anything about it. You had hurt guys who were bottom of the roster guys, scrapping and fighting, who should have been scrapping and fighting for a position. They're on the sideline playing around with video cameras of the news people who were there. I mean, and they're doing this right in front of the general manager and owners and CEOs, the CFOs, and all the people in the front office. And so that's the level of comfortability that a lot of these players have on the Dallas Cowboys, is that they feel as if they are bigger stars than they actually are. Because in this small bubble, in this Dallas Cowboy bubble, you're the biggest star on the biggest planet, and that planet is football. And so guys get here, and yes, they're the Dak Prescotts of the world, and yes, they're the CeeDee Lambs of the world, and yes, there's the George Pickens of the world. But there are the other guys on this place that go out and they're mobbed at the mall. They're mobbed when they do autograph sessions. People want them. They do radio shows. They do podcasts. A host of different things, from the best guy, the $60 million guy who should have all that accolades, to the Jesse Hollies of the world who are fighting for a roster spot and fighting for their days, but they're still treated as if they have made 10 Pro Bowls in a row and 10 first-team All-Pros, and they haven't. And so what Chris Canty is talking about, that is a real thing. I am a product of it. I have garnered and gained a lot from it. Hence why I never left this place. I could have went back to my home state of New Jersey and been just fine. I could have went back to the great state of North Carolina and been just fine. But me, in my sense, in my mind, I said, I got the taste of that living here. As soon as Bill Belichick told me my time was done in New England, I said, thank you, sir. They called me and said, where would you like this plane ticket to go? New Jersey? North Carolina? Send me back to Dallas ASAP. And I came back here, and I've been here ever since. And I ain't leaving unless the good Lord pick me up by the shirt collar and say, come on, Jesse, we going somewhere else. Because the life here as a current Cowboy, a former Cowboy, is far too good to go anywhere else.
I don't like you right now, Clarence. I don't like either one of you right now.
I mean, Jeff, come on. I understand to do your job. Do your job. Doesn't matter what you have to do your job. But the point he's trying to put out is doing the job is different here than other places. There are more obstacles here. But yes, at the end of the day, when they kick the ball off, you got to do your job. But all Candy's pointing out, all Jesse's pointing out, it's just different because of everything in place. And Candy talked about it. We talked about it when Jerry said at the camp. When Jerry said on the documentary, what do you call it? It's not a documentary, it's what?
It's not a documentary. It's a fluff piece on the joys of 30 years ago. Documentaries are not approved by the subject.
How he will, if things are too quiet, he's gonna stir it up. Because it's all about selling. It's all about marketing. We talked about, I've said it many times, you can't serve two masters. You can't be focused on marketing, selling, and also be focused on trying to do what's best for the football team and winning. Going to California, being a traveling circus, is not the best environment to win in. It's not the best. Dalton Schultz was right. It's a distraction, but you have to ignore the distraction. The tours, you don't really, ultimately, that doesn't stop you from lifting weights, but it can be a distraction if everybody's now focused on the right thing. And we're talking about 53 guys or 80 guys, whatever else in the offseason. They're all distractions. At the end of the day, you have to focus to do your job. At the end of the day, that's what you get paid to do. at the end of the day, as Bill Parcells said a long time ago, it comes with the dinner. When you're in Dallas, it's like you're playing in a big room in Vegas. As for the coaches, as for the players, there's so much. I've said it many times. These players think they're special in Dallas. Just think if they were 3-time Super Bowl champions. They think they special. They think they bad. You know why Michael? I mean, the life was good in the 90s. Walking around Dallas as a Cowboy in the 90s was good, and everybody's still eating off of that. Everybody's still getting something off of that. You're eating off of that stardom that you didn't make, that the 70s and 80s and 90s Cowboys made the foundation for. But yeah, it's an issue. At the end of the day, you're right. They got to do their job. That comes with it. Whereas the coaches, Mike McCarthy talked about, you cannot be surprised coming to Cowboys as a coach and not know that Jerry's going to say some stuff. That's something you have to overcome. That's part of being a Cowboys coach. But yeah, the environment, the culture, everything is different. But Jerry's easy. It's easy to point at Jerry. It's easy to say it's Jerry's fault. It's easy to say that.
No, let me say this from a player's perspective on the part about doing your job, right? And that is 100% correct, Jeff. You want all these guys to do their job. But if everybody's not rowing the same, that the row system ain't the same. When you go to different teams who are truly scrapping and everybody's trying to make it, everybody has the right level of rowing in the boat. There is a culture of, and maybe it's shifting, and maybe you want to see a shift of the 53 individuals, right? And you should have got better glasses than that. You let those people talk you into getting those glasses. Those are wrong. Give those to your daughter. Give those to your daughter.
I think his daughters are too old for those glasses.
Yeah, look at my son.
But everybody's not rowing in the same direction. Everybody is out for self. Hence why you saw the clash between Micah and D-Law, right? Because everyone's not on the same accord. Hence why you saw the things happen with Trayvon Diggs. These are why things are transpiring the way that they transpired, because everybody is out for growing their own brand within this bigger brand. And while they're on the field, instead of it being it's we, it's me. And if me happens to help out the we, then great. But if it doesn't, oh well, because I'm gonna get mine, and I'm still gonna be labeled as a star. I'm still gonna get mine. And the days of those 90s, those 90s football teams, again, winning was different. Like nothing else. You didn't have the ability to be a star without winning. There wasn't social media, there wasn't followings and YouTubes and algorithms and all that kind of stuff. The only way that you became a visible star was by winning. And so that's what mattered the most, is if no one wanted to be. See, nowadays people are okay with being losers. Look at the internet. They're out there all day. People kind of will put on the loser bow tie and wear it proudly. And they're just okay with losing. They're okay with losing. They're okay with being losers, because they'll say, well, I have 50,000 subs and I have 1 million subs, and my viewership is this, and people recognize me from that. You go back and you watch. If you go back and you watch the Pro Bowl, the actual football Pro Bowl game got less views than the celebrity Pro Bowl game with all the influencers on it. They had the celebrity Pro Bowl flag football game with all the influencers, and that got more views than the actual one with all the real players on it. So like that level of where the space that we're at now is, losing is okay because I'm still a winner, because I still get paid, I still get the views, I still get the commercials. Unlike the 90s, where there was no other way for you to get recognized, losers got put on the back page. Winners got all the attention, and that's why those guys were hell-bent on winning, because that was the only thing that mattered.
One thing, and I think that to offset the culture that Jerry Jones laid down is why you need a coach like Jimmy Johnson. It's why you need a coach like Bill Parcells, where he's going to hold you accountable. Listen, I love Brian. I love Wade. I don't know if culture and vibes offset what Jerry puts down. And I think you need a hard cuss to lay down the law in the locker room. to offset some of that stuff. And I don't know if Jerry ever wants that, because those coaches also want authority that he's not going to give them. But you look at some of the greatest success that they had was because of Jimmy. And let's be honest, this team got back right because of Bill. The foundation that Bill laid down, the drafting of Whitten and Ware and all that other stuff got down, that this team got back toward winning ways under Wade and set the foundation for what we have now under Bill. And I think it's no coincidence that those two coaches and the way they ran the team and the way they ran my way, the highway, it was different. There was fear in the locker room because of the coaches that we have not seen with any other coaching staff.
I do have one follow-up on that topic, and we'll get into, are the Cowboys throwing chum in the water in the George Pickens situation? It's next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Let's talk about our friends over there at Factor Meal Kits. We're still in the new year. You got big goals and no time to cook. Our friends at Factor can make that easy for you. Fully prepared meals designed by dietitians, crafted by chefs, so you can eat well without doing all the shopping or all the cooking. The things that go in there in the Factor Meal Kits: quality functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, healthy fats. What you're not going to get: refined sugars, artificial sweeteners, refined seed oils. So you can get meals that fit your goals and your schedule. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein. They got 100 rotating weekly meals. It's very convenient for you. Always fresh, never frozen. Ready in about 2 minutes. That's our friends. Head on over to factormeals.com/DLLS50 off. Use the code DLLS50 off. You'll get 50% off your first Factor box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Also want to salute our friends at Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market. It is my favorite store on the planet. You plan Valentine's Day for a special someone? How about some of the hookups they got there? Their lobster tails, $7.98 a tail. Beef tenderloin medallions, $10 a piece. They got some bundles for you. You want to bundle something up? $32 lobster tails and filet mignon. $25 Argentine shrimp and USDA choice beef New York strip steak. Those are some deals from our friends at Wild Fork. They have an incredible selection. You can get sides there too. You can do your whole meal. So get your Valentine's squared away with incredible food from our friends at Wild Fork. Frozen is fresher. At Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market, the organic grass-fed ground beef, 85% lean. That's $6 a pound. That's about the best I've seen out there. You've got to try them out at one of their 9 area DFW locations. Go to my favorite store on planet Earth. Learn more at wildforkfoods.com. All right, welcome back to the DLLS Cowboys podcast. We're doing these from home the last few days because we do have a sickness on the team and we don't want everyone to die. So the way that we're doing this is on this little website that puts us all together that has a private chat, and I want everyone to know that Clarence in the private chat said, "Tell the people in the chat I can't interact because I don't have my phone, but to hit the like button." So we need everybody to hit the like button for Clarence.
I like to interact. I like to interact in the chat.
If you've ever seen that meme where it's the Dave Chappelle meme when he's like scratching his neck, that has been Clarence all morning long without a phone. He has been a fiend that he does not have his phone in his hand. He needs like a fiddle stick or something, but not having that phone in his hand, my boy is over there struggling.
It's not good. He before the show, we had to tell him stop touching his camera because if he touches his camera, it freezes the screen. And he's like, "I got you." And then he did it 11 more times. And then he just told us, "It's like I don't have my phone and I have to touch something." That was the wording, right? I have to touch something.
Yeah, that was definitely the wording.
I gotta touch something. Got to touch something.
All right, let's hit our super chats up here real quick. Dave is in the super chat. Chill does need a fidget spinner. I love fidget spinners. You know me, I'm ADHD as hell. I'm an anxiety kid. I need something to play with at all times. Dave says, wait, one last. Jesse looked like he should be doing a slow walk towards a space capsule. I waited so long to catch y'all live. Is that because his mic's got the little round? He thinks that the mic looks like something spaceshipy? Is that what that's? I don't even know. And, what's that?
Yeah, it might kind of a little spaceship, little capsule there.
True Texan said they need a culture of winning, period, not choking. You know, it's easier not to choke if you have a better team than the other team. And I know they've had that at least once, maybe twice in semi-recent playoff runs. But a lot of times they're just not better than the team that they're playing. And that's not choking. That's getting beat by a better team because they built a better team than you did. So, dearest Cowboys, please get back to drafting good so that we can have the good football team. Yes, Clarence?
The Green Bay was a better team when they were Cowboys were 12-5 with the number 2 seed. Everything is at home. And everybody said, oh, the Cowboys going to the NFC Championship game. They got this thing all set up. And then they got boat raced. How about that Rams game? How about that 49ers game when the Cowboys had them at home?
They had a couple.
Had them at home. And that was not no juggernaut. And, you know, and Mike McCarthy said this team wasn't ready before the game. Yeah, he let them walk out there. He said, I could tell in the locker room before the game they weren't ready. Why were they not ready?
Culture, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's like the Green Bay game was weird. It wasn't the worst defense ever all year, but on that day it was. So I don't know what do you do with that? Is suddenly now Dan Quinn sucks? Like I don't know what to do with
it's something in the area because you said, you know, let them have the best team. But those two games, they should have had the best team. They did have the best team. It's the reason why those playoff games were at home.
Yeah.
Throughout the regular season, they had the best team.
Well, they also played in the NFC East. Like, there's a reason that Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady played in a lot of home playoff games. Part of it's because they're two of the best quarterbacks in football.
But they won.
And part of it's because they took advantage of being in terrible divisions for a long time. That's what you're supposed to do. And then you're supposed to parlay that into winning playoff games. But back to the culture-y thingy. So this is the question I want to ask you guys. I'll start with you, Jesse. Because it is what it is, and there's absolutely something to it. Country clubby, Cowboy players feel like they've won the Super Bowl even when they're 5-12, all the things. Was Garrett onto something? And this is a guy that was a very mediocre coach. But was Garrett onto something with his RKG? Like, is it more important in Dallas to get the, quote, right kind of guy, team captain, shows up early? Like, I want the best, most talented players. But is it even more important here that the players that you do acquire can block that out and will work as hard as the people who are in cities where that's just what they do?
See, Jason Garrett was a very unique situation because I don't think his right kind of guy were guys that he was saying that will block out the noise. I thought it was more right kind of guy of guys that would follow his word tooth and nail.
Okay.
Right. Like, I think that was the biggest difference because this is not me. I'm just giving you my honest opinion from being in the locker room with Jason Garrett for 3 years. Folks did not respect Jason Garrett. Okay. There was a very little respect that went through the locker room for Jason Garrett. Yes, you know, as Des would say, you have company guys like, and I don't even consider a guy like Sean Lee a company guy. Sean Lee's just a guy who just follows the rules, right? Like, he's just a guy who's just like, hey, man, if he says be here by 7:59, I'll be here by 7:59, right? If he says don't put on jeans and get on the plane, I don't want to buck the system. I'm just going to put on pants that he says that we're supposed to wear, right? So it wasn't like it was a company type thing. And Sean Lee just was a guy who just was not. I don't want to call him. I don't want to say square, but he just was a dude. He was a rule follower, right? And in the league, you don't have a lot of technically rule followers. And so the right kind of guy was more so guys that Jason Garrett wanted to bring in that would hang on his word, that would kind of, you know, follow his way of doing things and not really have an opinion outside of what he has given them.
Then let me take Garrett out of it.
Okay.
Is it more important here to find players who you have no question about work ethic and drive and things of that nature? Is it more important here than other places?
Yes.
Okay.
You need to find football-loving human beings because this is a very distractive place. Okay, you can easily be swayed out of the focus of what you're supposed to do. But it is very critical and very important because the spotlight, even now, like our first segment, we talked about the Cowboys, and that was a segment from the national show. In the offseason, the Cowboys are still in the A block, right?
Well, the day before the Super Bowl, one of their segments was, can the Cowboys be in this Super Bowl next year? This is the day before two teams play in the Super Bowl. They did a whole segment on a 7-9-1 team. And can they be here next year?
Right.
Because they were just like, this plays. It's the Cowboys.
And so,
that's crazy.
You know,
that's why
go ahead.
It's sometimes it's easy to blame Jerry, but I mean, the Cowboys are ratings goal for everybody. And it's not always Jerry chumming it up or stirring it up. It's the content creators, it's the media churning it up, because if we talk about the Cowboys, we know we're gonna get viewers, we're gonna get a segment. Let's create something. And then we're reacting like we're reacting to Canty. No, the Cowboys did nothing. But Canty made a segment out of it, and we're acting to it. And everybody reacts to the news that necessarily the Cowboys didn't always create. But I getting back to your point, and which is why I tried to bring it up in the last segment. I don't know if you could always find 53 Boy Scouts or 53 guys that do the right thing, all these guys, but it's the coach. You have to have that no-cuss coach that's going to hold their feet to the fire, and a coach that has the backbone and has the authority where you can't go over his head. I remember when I talked about 952, late in the 90s, when things started getting away under Barry Switzer or whatever else and other coaches, players were called 952. 952 was Jerry's extension in Valley Ranch, and people would go over the coach's head to Jerry. 952 was a thing. I just called 952, and so I think that having a coach with authority to hold them accountable, hold their foot to the fire, and be the ultimate final authority that strikes fear in the locker room makes a difference, more so than trying to find all these players that's going to do it on their own. Somebody has to set the tone, and it's usually the coach.
We got a super chat from Dave White, which just says orange suit with 3 exclamation points. I don't know what that means. Does anybody know what that means? Does anybody own an orange suit? I think the guy in Dumb and Dumber might have had an orange suit. Was there an orange one and a blue one?
That's a jail suit? What is that? A prison suit? What's the orange suit for? I don't know who's the orange suit.
I don't know. Formula wants to know, is Schottenheimer on the hot seat if Dallas misses the playoffs again?
Yes.
I think he's got, I guess all those questions, the answer is always how bad.
I think to who? To us or to Jerry? That's two different things.
To Jerry. Like, because if 9-8 didn't make the playoffs, Shoddy getting fired, I would guess no. Is a 6-11 Shoddy missing the playoffs getting fired? Probably. I think so. I think it depends how bad.
I think it's the fans hot seat, yes. The fans and media hot seat, yes. I think that, you get rid of your staff, you change the defensive coaches, and I think that I don't know if having a young coordinator gives you more time, gives you a longer runway or not, because you can't expect him to change things over. But not making the playoffs the first 2 years, that puts you on the hot seat. But of course, does Jerry want to pay a coach? Again, as we talked about Mike McCarthy, he didn't want to fire Mike McCarthy, his coaches, because he still didn't want to pay a coach not be here.
Yeah.
So that's the frustrating thing about Jerry urgency. I want to win. Do you? When you let all these other things get in the way of your decision making, clearly you should have gotten rid of Mike McCarthy the year before, right? But you didn't want to have to pay him.
Well, Jerry's like, ultimately, the hard part about it is, and I'm very critical of Jerry because I think he's unqualified and I think he's really bad at his job, right? But I also think the hard part about it is that Jerry's kind of like all of us. He bought something and he wants to do what he wants. And he wants to believe he is the best at it. So he's doing it his way. And it's like, hey, Jerry, this isn't the best way. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm crushing it. We're the best. We're the most talked about. We make the playoffs a bunch. Like, we're right there. And I get to do whatever. This is fun. I'm having the time of my life. You don't get to tell me what I'm doing is wrong. Where have I failed? And as a human, I get it. Because if I owned a football team, I also want to do what I want. But I don't own one. So I just tee off on the guy who does it exactly how I probably would.
You want to win. I mean, doing what you want. You're doing what you want with the goal towards winning, with goal towards putting a great product on the field for your fan, which is what you sell us. I want to win more than anybody. Okay. I talked to someone close to Mike McCarthy at the Super Bowl, and that last year was tough. On a hot seat, all your coaches on 1-year deal. You got to manage players. You got to manage coaches who worry about their future. That's just not the right environment. But Jerry, that's the same year Jerry said we're all in. But yeah, we did nothing to help him win. And so that's part of it. You can't, we don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to do it. And there's no rhyme or reason to it, but you're not doing everything to win, and so will Brian been hot seat? I don't know, because Jerry has all these other things in mind he has to consider before he makes a move on the coach. But we all knew that Mike McCarthy was gone. Why was he here for the last year?
Well, he would have been here even longer if he accepted a low ball short-term deal. Dave is back in the Super Chat. He said it's his bad. He said, I blew it. Jesse looked like a cosmonaut in the orange suit. Love you, Jesse. Self-banned for a week. LOL.
That's a week ago when you had that thing on your head, Jesse. Remember? That cone? Yeah, we put the cone on your head. You had to, It was red.
Coming up next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast, we'll actually get to the topic that I teased. Are the Cowboys chumming up the water with George Pickens? It's next. Go ahead and join that supporters club for us. We sure would appreciate it. Let me scroll through the chat a little bit, see who we got. I see a Jay Phil in there. That's a member of the supporters club. I see Dro Nose in this bad boy. That's a member of the supporters club. That's our dudes. We love it. Helps you stand out. I see that's the same ones there. We got Melissa Massey in there. Dan Myers. Yeah. Our people are here. Andy's in there. Armand's in there. And the supporters club is just it's just a way to show appreciation for us and have you get a cool little badge next to your name that helps you stand out in the chat. We see you guys when you're out there, and you also get access to exclusive emojis and more. The more is content once a week, generally, is we send something that only goes out to our people in the supporters club, which means it's usually very, very inappropriate, quite edgy. Like the stuff that HR is like, no, you can't put that on the air. We send it to the supporters club. That's what we like to do. Feet pics, maybe not specifically feet pics, but things of that nature. That's what you get if you're in the supporters club. It's actually things that are appropriate. It's just kind of behind the scenes sort of stuff. Like you can see Clarence digging through a bag during a break. You can see that'll be part of the supporters club. That face, that's absolutely incredible. Yeah, you get them exclusive emojis. That's nice. That's nice. And standing out in the chat, I think, is fun. We love the community that we've built here at DLLS and that we're building, and we appreciate everybody that's a part of it. So if you want to it's weird having the swoosh. Like, I like Nike and I like the swoosh. It's weird having it displayed on the lens of your glasses.
No, it's a piece of tape. You got to take it off.
Oh, take the tape off.
So yes, I got 2 pair, buddy. I got 2 pair.
Give me 2 pairs.
You stole.
Sign up to be a part of the supporters club or else. It is the DLLS Cowboys podcast. So what was this, yesterday? What's today? Maybe 2 days ago. I was talking to on a little tiny show called Trust the Tape. Little tiny show on my little tiny personal YouTube page, which DLLS is going to pass me at some time in the next couple months for subscribers. It's tough. But I was talking to Brian Broaddus, and he was talking about George Pickens and Ian Rappaport talking about the idea of they could be open to sign it. Not that they could be, but they would be open to the idea of a sign and trade with George Pickens and all these different things. And I believe it was, I don't want to misquote him, but I will. But if I do, it'll be an accident. That chum in the water is my favorite word in football. Like what you do, whatever you say about a player, whatever you mention, the idea that what you're doing is you're trying to get a little feeding frenzy going. So right before the Super Bowl, we have people start reporting about George Pickens and franchise tags and potential trades. And they're getting ready to go to Indy where all these people will be in the same city. Are they chum in the water? And does that make you think that it actually is possible that George Pickens could be traded?
I'll concede my time to Clarence because he is more equipped to answer the conversations from the owners and general managers and head coaches that happen at the combine behind the scenes.
My question for you guys, and first of all, I don't.
He ain't gonna answer a damn question
That's
ever.
not how this works. That's not how this works.
I gotta go get my sword so I can threaten you.
That's not how this works. He asked the question. I conceded my time to you to answer the question, and then you in turn want to ask us questions.
I was going to say something, and then I'll go answer the question, then ask you guys the question. I don't forgot the question I'm going to ask you guys. But
oh no!
Listen, because you guys it's chum in the water. Of course, it's chum in the water. It's always chum in the water. But they're not. I'm not going to say that now. They shouldn't be training Jordan Pickens. And I guess my question for you guys is that has George Pickens cleaned up his reputation enough that another team, because he was, obviously bad guy, immature, has he cleaned it up enough to be outside of Dallas, outside of Dak, outside his cocoon? We talked to his agent, and he said he brought him to Dallas for a reason. We wanted him to be in this environment. We wanted to be in this ecosystem to get the best out of him. Now, outside of Dallas, outside his ecosystem, outside the situation where the agent's here, you got a lot of people here loving on him and making sure everything's right. What's that worth to another team to trade for him and give him that type of money?
93 catches, 1,429 yards, and 13 touchdowns. They don't give a damn about behavior. When you put up that level of numbers, teams go, we can deal with a little bit of nonsense if he gonna give us sub 1,200 yard. He's gonna give us more than 1,200 yard seasons. I will put up with the nonsense. So it doesn't matter if he fixed his image enough. The numbers say so. Now, if he had the same image and he came here, he did another little 800, 900 yard season, then you kind of like, oh well, let's. No, when you go and do 1,400 yards and you make the plays that George Pickens made this year, and you show yourself to be much more than what you were in Pittsburgh, people don't give a damn about that. People care about the productivity that you could bring to their football team. How can you enhance our offense from the wide receiver position? And if you're going to give us 14 and 10 touchdowns a year, then by all means, as Shotty did, as the Cowboys did, be a little late, skip a little curfew, have a little drinky drink. That's all good and well if you're going out there and you're giving us 1,400 yards.
Glad you said that. So who is he worth more to then? Because we know where he did it at, right? Why are we trying to trade him? Why are we chumming anything up? Because of this damn environment that we've been talking about the last two segments. If that's the case, and what you said is the case, and it don't matter, you give me 14 now and 92 and all that other stuff, he's more valuable here. Pay him here. We know what he can do here. He did it here. Okay. So what are we even playing with all this other stuff? If we're the Cowboys, I'm not listening to nobody else. I know what he can do. I know what he means to my team. I'm trying to win. If it's all about winning, putting the best players on the field, I got him here. Whatever I trade him for, we're betting on the come. We're betting on the future. We're betting on something that ain't happened yet. The best thing Parcells said about the future was, it ain't done yet. You ain't done it yet. I mean, about potential. It means that you ain't done it yet. Okay, everybody can have potential. He's done it here. You got proof in the pudding here. Make it happen here. So to answer your question, they shouldn't be trading him. They shouldn't be chumming it up. They shouldn't be trying to see what we're going to get. We're trying to win now. We know what he can do here now.
Yeah, but now Jerry's staring down the barrel of having to know David Mulugheta's name, which he didn't a year ago, and now he's going to have to learn it, and then he's going to have to do this thing you're going to do this thing all over again. I'm with you. I always think that trading your best players, if you're actually trying to win right now, is stupid. But what if the only way this would make sense to me is the what if. What if you looked at your roster construction and you're trying to build your best team, and the Raiders looked at their roster construction, they're trying to build their best team, and they went, well, we're about to pick a quarterback number 1 overall. Sure could use somebody awesome for him to throw to that's 24 years old and just entering the prime of his career. And we've got an incredibly disgruntled employee. Oh, and your defense sucks. And you traded your only good pass rusher. Like, if you could match that up some kind of way, does that change your mind?
No, I said this the other day. I think the chum in the water is the Cowboys doing their due diligence. They should take every call. They should hear every scenario. There shouldn't be one scenario that they shouldn't take. I shouldn't say take, but should hear, listen to. And so if chum in the water means when we get to Indy that now we're moving and shaking about the about the hallways, and people are saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about is George up for grabs? And if I'm Jerry, then I go, maybe. Well, what you got? And I think doing that gives them the best chance to hear all the options. Now, at the end of the week in Indy, they may leave Indy. At the end of the week, they may leave Indy and go, nothing we heard this week was remotely close to anything that we would do, but we heard it. So now that we can continue to move forward with our plan on how we're going to do this thing. But to not take in the information, I think that puts you at a disadvantage. And so I have to say this constantly. Clarence Hill, Jeff Cavanaugh, Jesse Holley, John Anderson, none of us want to trade George Pickens. We're not looking to trade George Pickens, but we are rational and understanding human beings. Some of us. So maybe not me necessarily, but you got to do your due diligence and at least listen to the conversation from the people. And if that means putting a little chum in the water that George Pickens could potentially, might be, is it the bun? Is it the dog up for grabs? I don't know, but let me hear what you got. Let me see what you show your hand a little bit of what you're willing to do.
Okay, let me ask you this, Jesse. And I hear you. I understand what you're saying. Let's be open and let's have a conversation. How does the trade, we're trying to win now, how does that help you win? Can we be irrational about this is my guy and I'm not letting him go? How does getting rid of one of your best players, and right now he's one of the 3 best players on the team, 3 or 4, depending on which number you want to do. How do we just got rid of your best player last year? How does that help you win now?
So let me answer your question by saying this. I think a part of the hesitancy or the fear of trading a best player again is because you did it a year ago, right? Like, so you traded away Micah Parsons a year ago. And I think that has stained people a little bit and made them even more, maybe even a little bit scared to kind of say, to do it again. But this, and I've said this before, and again, let me reiterate, we're not trying to trade George Pickens. We're having a conversation of all possibilities. But this offense has been top 3 in the league before George Pickens got here. We've seen that happen multiple times. We've seen this offense be top 5, top 3 in the league without a George Pickens. Not saying that you don't want or need George Pickens, but I have evidence of us being okay, just fine, more than serviceable, top of the league without George Pickens. If trading away George Pickens can bring you back like a premium guy, like let's just say Crosby and some other stuff, that's a conversation that I'm willing to have. I'm willing to have that conversation. I'm willing to say, okay, if that means I bring in a top 5 pass rusher to let go, but it costs me a top 10 receiver, I actually probably may have gotten better.
In
the top
what
10,
if
you're not top 5?
What? Yeah, top 5's crazy talk. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he did what he just did again, then I think you could start having the crazy conversations. But for a guy that just it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. I'll say he's the best. He's the best receiver in football. Just in case they're going to trade him, he's the best receiver in the league.
First of all, if you don't think he's going to be able to do what he did again, then trade him. I mean that's part of the conversation. When Jess brought up the numbers, we do think he can do what he did again.
Well, the exact numbers don't matter. If CeeDee Lamb plays every game, then it's going to be 15 for CeeDee and 12 for George. And it doesn't matter if it's 14, 15, 12. It doesn't matter. The point is we have both these guys. But I think it's important to realize, and the idea that you can't have these conversations is dumbassery. Like this is just part of the game. Like Ian Rappaport just reported they're open to the idea. Now, what's unfortunate about it?
He didn't report. He just threw it out there. They're open to the idea, or I think they're open to the idea because of what they did last year. He said they have a history of trading their top best players.
Well, if a reporter says something on the air, I'm gonna call it a report. That's just what I'm gonna do. But I think like what's important to realize is like there are different scenarios where sure you could reject the entire idea of this and say we're not ever talking about this. But then there's the situation the Cowboys are in where this is the name of the game is always roster construction to win the Super Bowl. In most scenarios, the year he just had, you already have this long-term extension done. You're in Dallas. And you're in a place that just had one of the worst defensive years in the history of the NFL. And so when you have a lot of resources sunk into two positions or a lot of resources sunk into offense, if the right opportunity presents itself, you owe it to yourself to listen to that. The idea that we can't discuss this is dumb. And so we will. We're going to talk about everything that has to do with the Cowboys and the fact that you have a wonderful offense with lots of resources in it, a terrible defense with little resources in it, means that when you franchise tag a guy who Jerry claims he doesn't speak to this guy's agent, like there's so many ways that this has to be discussed. And if it's not, you're not doing your job if you talk about the Cowboys. Coming up next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast, we'll dong around the NFL draft a little bit. I got 3 new mocks, and I have a separate Cowboys question for you as well. It's next. All right, let's talk about being a diehard. There's a QR code on your screen, and there's a clearance on your screen as well. But we want you to sign up to be a diehard because being a diehard is cool. You get to join a cool community. We enjoy hanging out with you guys. And once you're signed up to be a diehard, you get an invite to our Discord, which there you can hang out with us and talk about all sorts of things, not just the Dallas Cowboys, not just your local sports scene. Hell, you can make friends. Maybe you're a person out there right now that you aren't comfortable in a lot of social situations. Maybe you're an anxiety person. Pop up in there, make some online friends through your common interests, and bang, you got yourself a little community. Doesn't that sound fun? But when you sign up to be a diehard, what you get is you get access to all of our content on our website, which includes everything you need to know about all of your favorite DFW sports teams. We obviously do 5 days a week. We're doing shows for all your favorite sports teams. We have beat writers who are the best in the business at covering your teams. And so it's just a good subscription to have, the diehard status. Oh, I hadn't mentioned in a while. You get your little diehard carrying card. Where is mine? I don't think I have my wallet on me. I don't know if my diehard carrying card is on me, but you do get one, and it's badass. And you get a free T-shirt when you sign up, which is nice. And so you could get we got a nice little flag one. You got to pledge allegiance to the flag with 2 G's if you're a Mavs fan. We got the Stay Shiesty T-shirt that you could rock. Hopefully we get something done, and he's going to be here for a long time, and you love your Stay Shiesty T-shirt forever. And if he's not here for a long time, that's okay too, because guess what? Now it's a retro. Now you got a retro George shirt. That's big time. So sign up to be a diehard, get access to all the different things, hang out in the Discord with us, take advantage of your free T-shirt. All that stuff can be yours if you just use the QR code or go to alldlls.com. Sign up to be a diehard, and if you don't do that, I'll track you down for a hug with consent. It is the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Let's knock out the super chats before we get to donging around the NFL draft. NC Upton said, do you think McClay is current on defense trends? I think Will McClay is one of the hardest guys to talk about in sports. It's hard to know because the job that he does is very, very, very important for the Cowboys. But he doesn't get to do the whole job. If Dan Quinn wants to draft a guy, they'll draft a guy. If insert next coach wants to draft a guy, they'll draft a guy. And so you can't just cleanly pull the Cowboys drafts or free agency and say, that's Will McClay's resume. And so I don't know. I don't think he's perfect. I think he's good at his job. I think. But you can't totally know because you don't know who's responsible for what. Like, here's one thing I do know. I know that, let me get my years right, Rod Marinelli said we don't want TJ Watt because his hand isn't on the ground. What's Will McClay supposed to do? I told me we're not picking him. I don't think Will McClay on a draft board had Taco Charlton higher than TJ Watt, but the D coordinator told him that guy puts his hand on the ground. That's how we play. And it's just, I think his job is hard. So I think Will McClay is really hard to properly analyze how good he is at his job or the trends or whatever, because his job is to adjust to the coaches, to the front office, and to find a way to bridge all of that together, which means it's not just him. So I don't know, is my answer to that. Okay. Clarence in our private chat said, tell Melissa we love her too. Oh, yeah, there's a female in the chat, right? Yeah.
She said she loves us. We're our favorite. Can we acknowledge that?
Thank you. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
she said that.
Triple mock draft as we go donging around the NFL draft. And I'm going to start with the one that's my favorite because I don't know if you guys are familiar with my alter ego. My alter ego's name is Captain Trade Down. I'm a big fan of trading down in the NFL draft. I'm not a big fan of trading up in the NFL draft. And so the first mock draft I want to go to from this week is going to be Chad Roto-Rooter. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it's Chad, and then it's Reuter. He's worked at NFL.com for a while, so I call him Chad Roto-Rooter. So in the first round, he has the Dallas Cowboys making the selection of Sonny Styles, Ohio State linebacker. And as you guys know, I would be a fan of that pick because that's my little Fred. That's my little Fred.
Yours?
Yeah.
Yours?
Yeah, he's my little Fred.
Have you taken ownership of Jesse's man crush?
I told him about him. He doesn't get to take him.
No, he told me. He definitely was like, listen.
And the way that I converted him is I said, Jesse. He's like, Fred.
Yeah. I was all in. I was all in once he told me that.
That's all I had to do. I know how to get to people. You just got to know which buttons to push. If you want Jesse to like a guy, say he reminds you of Fred Warner.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. It'll be over.
When Fred was walking around Radio Row, I thought Jesse was going to hug him.
Well, no.
You know what? I wanted to. I wanted to. I did. I wanted to. And I wanted to know what kind of cologne he wore. But
you want to get that close?
I didn't do it.
You want to smell him?
I wanted us to man hug, a bro hug. I did.
Oh, man.
I did, but I'm too player for that. So I was like, I gave one of them. I gave him what's
up,
you know what I'm saying? But you know, he can look at me and was like, that's a player right there. You know what I'm saying? Real playalistic right there. I gave one of them, he gave me one back. We kept it, you know what I'm saying? We kept it pushing.
J. Phil in the chat said, my little Fred shirts are gonna go crazy. I think that's a fair point.
You got a shirt.
All right. Here's the point. The point is, I scrolled down on the mock draft of Fred Roto, or that's his name's not Fred, Chad Roto-Rooter. I love the name Fred.
Do you?
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's because of the movie Tombstone. I think it's like the sheriff's name, and before they kill him, the guy's high on opium and drunk, and he's just like, Fred, and the way he says Fred. I like the name Fred. At number 20, the Dallas Cowboys don't make a pick, baby. And they don't make a pick because the Buffalo Bills cannot get a wide receiver core together to save their lives. So they're coming up. They want to take the 6'4" wide receiver out of Washington named Denzel Boston. So the Cowboys are trading back. What do the Cowboys get for trading back? They get a 3rd round and a 4th round pick from the Buffalo Bills to move back 6 spots. Once you move back 6 spots, let me run the draft out for you. Denzel Boston, wide receiver. KC Concepcion, wide receiver at A&M. Blake Miller, offensive tackle, Clemson to the Texans. Avion Terrell, corner to the Vikings. Caleb Lomu to Cleveland, the offensive tackle from Utah. Caden McDonald, Ohio State nose tackle to the Chicago Bears. And then the Cowboys are on the clock. You move back 6 spots. Only one guy that the Cowboys would have any interest in went. So you might be picking the exact same guy you were going to pick, although I'd probably pick Avion Terrell, the Clemson corner, if you could have. And the Cowboys are going to take a safety. They are going to take Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work. He's from Toledo. He fits into the mold of what people talk about with safeties now. He's 6'2". He's 205 pounds. That sucker will come down in the box and set the edge, and then he'll play a deep half on the next play. So he's one of those really fun hybrid safety sorts. And you add a third and a fourth round pick. Now, he didn't go through the fourth round, but he did go through the third on his mock draft. And in the third round, as your bonus for moving back, you get Gabe Yakis, who, if you watch the Senior Bowl, he's an Illinois defensive end that would absolutely be a rotational guy for you as a rookie, especially now because the Cowboys don't have any defensive ends, not named Donovan Ezeraku. And that's just illustration number one of Jeff's little captain trade down, although I do kind of hate one of the guys that went. I would have liked to have had Avion Terrell playing corner for me over a safety. But that's the risk you run when you're trading back. Go ahead, Clarence.
You know, you're a draft Nick, draft guru, draft specialist. We talk about positional value. I understand taking Caleb Downs high because he's just that bad mofo. But taking other safeties in the first round, positional value, how does that matter if he's not special?
I think it's a great question because I do think it's hard. I think people are going to look at Caleb Downs and they think that he's going to play in a lot of Pro Bowls, that he may be an All-Pro. And you may see that sort of potential with McNeil Warren because he does have the unique size and movement ability combination, and that's why he's being considered as a potential first-round pick. The hard part to me about safety and about running back is if you are not blown away by the guy that you're getting, there will absolutely be starting safeties as rookies picked in the third, fourth, fifth round. It's going to happen. Same thing's going to happen at running back. And that's what does make it tough to take a safety high unless you think you're getting somebody really special.
Cook was the first round safety, right?
Who's that?
Malik Hooker won the first round, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Malik Hooker, it never really happened for him, but Malik Hooker was kind of viewed as
he's supposed to be special.
He was viewed as almost-ish Ed Reed kind of thing. Like people thought Malik Hooker was going to have 50 interceptions.
Right.
Like that's at Ohio State. He was really I'm gonna line up way back here and watch me end up with the football all the time. And it never really came together that way in the league. And so, yeah.
Not even close. I mean, he's a guy who's been a starter, but there's nothing about any season that's been special. Not Pro Bowl, nothing.
No.
That's been up echelon. But he's going to play in the league 10 years, I guess. But is that what you want in the first round of safety? When you get that in the third and fourth and fifth round?
No, I think that's when you view picking a safety as a disappointment in the first round. If you get a guy that has a solid NFL career, you're like, man, I wish I would have picked a more valuable position. I wish I would have gotten more value out of that pick. And so that's actually a trade down that we just went through that I probably don't love. I would rather just sit and pick and get a corner that I think is going to be a big-time playmaker in the NFL. Other two mock drafts and a mock draft roundup while we're donging around the draft. Mike Renner at CBS Sports. I like Mike Renner because Mike Renner is one of those guys that his draft rankings look way different from everybody else because he doesn't care. He watches the guys, he puts them in order, and he doesn't care what the rest of the world has kind of agreed is the way that things are. And he has the Cowboys going with a hurt corner at number 12 overall, Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee, which I know people aren't going to like it. When we go to the combine,
I'm people.
What if we at least get to see him? What if at the combine he goes out there and he does everything and he tests as a phenomenal athlete and he looks good physically, and then you're like, okay, he's past it. It's not like Revel where you don't really test and you don't really know. What if you get to know everything you want to know physically? Then does the year of not playing football this year coming off the ACL not bother you?
Yeah, football's fluid. I still stand in a place where I can change my mind after if I'm given more evidence. If I'm given more concrete evidence, then I can change my mind.
Yeah. And then the third mock draft and a mock draft roundup here. Oh, we took Blake Miller at number 20, by the way. It's Clemson offensive tackle who I haven't even seen yet, which goes to my love for Mike Renner. I'll go watch him today. Is he doesn't care about other people's rankings. And an offensive tackle at 20, I think people might lose their minds on that too. And my third one is Field Yates at ESPN. Sonny Styles at 12, Keldrick Falk at 20. Not bad. Find me someone else at 20, though. Thanks for stopping by. Hit the like button on your way out. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through. Be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.
Eliminate the contingencies.